most of these movies or stories are in maybe a 1.5 hour to 2.5 hour time frame, right? So that's a really short story arc. How many relationships have we ever been that lasted 1.5 to 2.5 hours? Probably not our most successful ones,
Probably not, a vacation love.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I met you on vacation and boy, was that fun kind of thing, but yeah.
But you can't really get to know someone in the depth of their soul in that short of time.
Yeah.
But in a movie, there's this forced time arc, right? That you have to follow through. It could be years in a matter of hours that you're experiencing. But we don't know, like that's not highlighted or expressed throughout the movie. And so we just focus on the way it made us feel, right? Which is then again, it moves into number 2, which, as you were saying, it puts people in a box. But also what it does is it creates uncommunicated expectations that someone else, your partner, will never live up to. And it's impossible because the person in the movie is not even real. And so how can we place that on someone else that isn't even, we're asking them to be someone and something and deliver in a timeline that isn't even real. And so we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment and we're setting them up for failure. And that's not what you do to the people that you love. And thirdly, when it is that full soul love, you need time. And that's the thing that gets skipped over. There's deep, unconditional, true love takes time to develop and to connect and to understand.
Even hearing that, it seems like what you're saying is that idea-based love or developing ideas around people. So that idea-based love is projection, where soul-based love is perception. We get that perception of one another, and we're able to perceive who we are as true souls and grow together from that. So we're not projecting things onto each other and putting each other into a box. We're actually taking time to sit with one another and perceive who we are and how we can grow individually and together.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of this is missing. Honestly, I don't know if it's a number 4 or a number 0. And maybe that's something we can kind of
let's work it in there
a little bit.
Let's work it in.
Is our capacity to love ourselves inherently limits our ability to love someone else. And so if we have a very limited capacity to love ourselves, no wonder we're going to be projecting love onto anyone else in terms of 1 and 2, right? Because we are so in a box with who we are that we are attempting to, as you say, loving someone through someone else, through them.
I want to love me through you.
Yes.
Right.
And because we're not in love with ourselves enough to experience it within ourselves and allow that love to grow individually, in tandem.
Yeah. And that becomes such a codependency factor, right?
Yes.
And that's where codependent relationships really begin to build. Because if you're not around, then I can't love myself. And I can only love me through you when you're present. When you're not present, then I feel unlovable, unworthy, all of the uns, right? And so it really does. It creates this whole perception of I need you, which then can cause one heck of a spiral, right? But that's a topic for a whole different day. But it does help with the whole concept of, am I in love with the idea of you? And part of the reason I may be in love with the idea or the story of us is without that story, I don't know how to love me.
That's beautifully well said. And that's oftentimes what I feel like we as people and struggle on when creating connected relationships, is that we fall in love with the story more than the person. And then as the person shifts, because we place this expectation that that person will always be and fulfill that story. And so if they change and maybe they grow and maybe they actually become an even better version of themselves, we may actually miss that better version of themselves because we only see them in the way that they were, that to fit the story. And then we only see ourselves in relation to that story. And so by someone else becoming a better version of themselves, which is something you should like, as a partner, you would want your partner to become a better version of yourself because honestly, like when you are the best version of yourself, I benefit from it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. When I'm the best version of myself, you benefit from it. And then individually, we both benefit from it, right? But if we're so caught in the story and we're keeping someone, locked down or small because of how we think they should be to fit the story that we're wrapping our heads around.
Box.
Box. Exactly. What we're doing is we're actually limiting the love that we have for ourselves. So we're getting lost, and it's almost like we experience an ego death, and it's hard to reconcile because we think it's outside of ourselves, but the reality, it's all happening within ourselves.